I've had a lot of you start emailing me here lately asking me if I run with a GPS system, how it works, and which ones I use. So I figure I could probably turn this into a little bit of a tutorial. It's not necessarily geared to trucking per se, but it's definitely one tool that we use. So to answer those questions, yes, I do run with the GPS. Which one's the best one? I really couldn't tell you. I run with the TomTom. I think it's a 510 Go or whatever it is. It's a couple of years old, so probably wouldn't be able to find the model I've got anyways. And are they any good? Well, as much as I do use mine, I have to say that they're really not as good as what you would think. For cars, four-wheelers or, even 5-ton trucks, they're going to be a little bit better. But for trucks, it's really hard to say because, for instance, my TomTom doesn't have, it's not really trucker friendly. It doesn't have the truck routes, it doesn't have all the restricted lanes and that sort of stuff. It's put me onto roads where there's been a bridge, low bridge or just a weight restricted bridge I wouldn't be able to go over. So how do you take care of that? Pretty easy. You go back to the old days. I got a whole briefcase full of map books. What you do, where did that come from? Basically what you do, and one thing, if you get on with the right company like I just have, they'll print you off maps, which really do help out. Get yourself good maps. A lot of us prefer the Rand McNally Motor Carrier Road Atlas. This one's 06, it's now 08. You can find last year's model for a lot cheaper than the brand new one. The brand new one is probably the best depending on how much you traveled, but these definitely work. I'll probably get a new one this year because this one's getting all tattered. There's also the ones like Texalot there Mr. James has that are ring bound and are laminated, so it's a lot easier to read, right? But start with planning your trip on one of these. When you're sitting at the customer, you're going to know where you're going to be going. Figure out where you are, where it is, and the basic idea of how to get there. You start with that, and then you go over to your GPS. Okay, so this is what the screen looks like. Right now there's no route planned. You touch the screen, it'll bring you up to a menu. Every unit or make or model is going to be different, so some of these things won't be on. Some of them, TomTom traffic, for instance, won't be on a Grumman, that sort of stuff. You can set some preferences. You can do some advanced planning. I'll get into that. Add favorite. You can make certain areas, certain addresses your favorite, and it's a little quicker and easier to get to. You can browse maps. iPod, this one's got weather, TomTom service, planning itinerary, guided tours. I don't know what guided tours are. We're going to go to navigate to. You can navigate either to your home or whatever you put down. Like I would put for the home, I've got my BC yard. Favorites again, address, point of interest, recent destination, latitude to longitude. If you know what the actual global position is of what you're going to, you'd look it up there. We're going to go to address for this one. You can go by cross street or intersection, zip code or postal code, city center, or street and house number. Now there's been some times where an address, or I can't find the city that I want to go to. I'll put in city center of the city that I know is closest to it, and or if I can't find the actual street, I'll at least get to the city, and from there I can always ask around or phone up or what have you. But I've got tomorrow's address, so I'm going to go to street and address. This is where you would type it in. I know I'm already going to Perth, Ontario. That's actually where I'm sitting. I know Rogers is where I'm going, otherwise I'd type it in. And now this one here, the address I wanted to go to was 2132. 2044 is the closest number they've got in this system. So that's close enough for me. So, well, let's type in 2132. I'll show you. See, no match is found. That's the closest one. So you say, yeah, close enough. Alright, now it's just calculated where I'm going to go. Now that's a short trip. If I were going over to, you know, say the BC terminal, it would take a little longer. It would also probably route me through the US, because that's what he usually likes doing, because it is faster, quicker, and easier going through the US, but that's really not practical. They should ask if I want to cross the border, but I haven't seen anything so far. So at this point, you know, that's the basic overview. Click on details, you can browse his text, so it'll tell you the route that you're going to be going. You can browse his images, and then you know, you can kind of scroll through. It's going to tell you, oh, that's what I'm going to be doing. Alright. Browse map of route. Well, that takes you back to where you were. There's where I am right now. No, I'm over here. There we go, see? And that's where I'm going to. So, show route summary, and it brings you back to there again. Oop. There we go. Details. Show route demo. It'll actually do it as if it's driving. I'm not going to get into it because it takes a while to get out of that. So at this point, you got a route, and you just start driving. You follow the directions. Down on the bottom here, you can put different things in. I've got the miles per hour and the distance to the location I want to go to. That's the satellite strength over on the side here, and that's the directions I've got to do. You can set different preferences. You can set the time to distance, or you can put in the local time, so the clock will be up there. I just find that that's the simplest stuff. I don't need anything else. I've got the little directional arrow north right now as we're sitting here is this direction. So I figure that's all I need, you know. So that's that. Now we can click on Find Alternate. For this is going to be kind of interesting. So tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to Navigate to. I'm going to go to. Now let's go to Recent Destination. Well, let's go to this place in Calgary. Now it's going to go through. Like I said, it's going to take a little bit of time, but that's actually going a little quicker than I anticipated. Now this will probably route me through the US. Which is kind of what I'm hoping for. So any second here it's going to pop up with a route. There you go. So it's going to take me down and through Indianapolis and or Indiana rather, not down into Indianapolis, but in through Illinois and across the North Dakota and that sort of stuff. Now, at this point, we could take that route, but sometimes that might be difficult. When you're in a truck, it's not as easy to cross a border to do a Canadian load. So you're going to click Find Alternative, and we'll go Travel Via, and you can just put in, I'm going to put in Dryden, Ontario. Now it's probably not going to take me all the way across Canada. It'll take me up through Ontario and then duck me back down, but this is just kind of to give you an idea as to what you can do. Actually, yeah, it did. So that's going to take me up through Canada. And then there's it shows you the distance, the length of time, and the original time. There was more miles. The Canadian route is 2,166 miles. The original miles were 2,472. But driving through Canada is 54 hours and 17 minutes. Originally it was 45 hours and 47 minutes. So that's the difference going Canada and US. All right. So that's basically that. At this point, you would just drive off. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to, okay, so I've set up what I'm going to be doing tomorrow. I'm going to go and pick up the trailer at that point. So I'm going to go ahead And I'm going to go over here to advanced planning. I'm going to go to address. I've got the street number and everything. I am going to Kingston, Ontario. Kingston. Now I'll scroll down to Ontario, hopefully. Kingston, Ontario. I'm going to Days Road. Days Road. And we're going to 525. And done. Use Rogers as the destination. Yeah, well, that's fastest, shortest, avoid freeways, walking, bicycle, or limited speed. See, in here they should have truck route, but they don't. So there we go. So it's going to take an hour and 52 minutes. It's 62 miles. I'll click on the details. I usually just go to, well, see, it's going the opposite way. That's pretty weird. It's going the opposite way, but gets the basic idea. So at this point, what's going to happen is tomorrow I'm going to drive this section. Once I get to the destination, then it will automatically switch to the next one going over to Days Road in Kingston, Ontario. So that's pretty much the basics of how you do it. Let's just do this here. Well, let's set it at 500%. Let's say you're driving along. This is what it's going to look like. Well, now it's going a little faster. I set it at 500%. It'll tell you as you're coming up. It'll tell you in half a mile you got to turn right, and you just keep driving until you get to the right. And then I'll turn right now, and then it'll go on. It keeps telling you. There is a voice which you can set different voices, female or male. You can also get for TomTom you can get different voices like Mr. T and that sort of stuff. I don't know what they've got now. I checked it out when I got this thing a couple of years ago. So it looks like I'm heading out into the middle of nowhere. Pretty much at the end of the road. See, now it's going to take me to go over to Kingston. So that's basically. So now at this point, you've got that plugged into GPS. You got your map here. And, well, that's got 4 directions because it's in the little town, but let's say I was going towards Toronto. I could say, alright, well, I'm in Perth, and this thing's going to tell me, take highway, whatever this one is, 7, I think that one, because it's the one I'm on right now. Take highway 7, and then turn left at 41 down over to the 401, turn left right onto the 401, and if it follows this direction, then I know I'm pretty safe. As well, when you get into, like Chicago and that sort of stuff, and Detroit, if you've got the motor carrier, this is where it's good for the trucks, is it's got the weights and weight and size limits somewhere in here. You've got low bridge clearances, so this thing might tell me to go and take, a certain road in Detroit. If I look here, it'll tell me that I shouldn't go over that, so, and go into the change route or whatever it was. I can't remember what it was called right now. And avoid that little section, or avoid that total city. And yeah, and just you can keep referring to the map, or you can put it away, as long as you know that that is not going to land you into any certain areas that you shouldn't go with a 13-foot trailer, and 53 foot long when 48s are the only thing allowed there on that road, and that sort of stuff. So as good as GPSs are at this point in time, map books, especially the Rand McNally's, are a good thing to have on hand. Like I said, these ones here for commercial vehicles are the best. They'll tell you where the scales are. That's one thing that thing won't tell you. They'll tell you where the scales are. Like for instance, where am I? I'm in Pennsylvania, right by the 159 exit. There's a weigh scale there. Right. There's also a rest area there. This will tell you there's rest areas. In your options, I've got it set where it'll tell me it's not a favorite, it's a point of interest, a POI. I've got rest areas added in there. You can put rest areas, gas stations, not truck stops, gas stations. Again, it doesn't cater to us unless you get maybe the German. I don't know for sure. I've just heard that that's the best. And things like that. So I've just got it programmed in there that about 2.5 miles ahead of the next rest area, it'll beep at me and it'll start flashing where it is. So I know within 2.5 miles I can start gearing down and pull in or just keep going. So they are definitely a good thing to have, but don't forget the maps. Until they get that thing perfected, which will probably be never because roads keep changing and that sort of stuff, they're never going to be perfect. And the only thing that can be perfect is the driver's skills and their common sense. Don't let that thing do the thinking for you. You got to let your brain do the thinking, obviously. It's with anything with driving. Don't get too complacent. Just plug an address in there and figure you're going to go, because that's when you're going to get to a bridge like I did, where it was a 4-ton maximum weight. And this thing's a little bit more than 4 tons, so that's just basically the way you operate the GPS for the trucks. So yes, I use them. Would I suggest them? With a handful of map books, which even then, if you've got the Motor Carrier Atlas, normally any state you pull into, the first rest area, first few anyways, usually have free maps of that state anyways. That's where I've gotten 9/10 of my maps, other than this one and a couple of other ones for Calgary or Vancouver. When you get into the towns, you gotta go out and buy those ones. But basically, yeah, just going into the rest areas, you can get free state maps from them, and they should be pretty accurate because they're right from the state. So anyways, that's about it for this one.
Add your own music here, because I still don't have any yet. Okay.